Stunning day down here in southern Vermont today with obviously the foliage, but the really nice weather. I'm sorry I brought you inside before the sunset, but our first speaker is on Oslo time, so Ludwig sitting at 11 p.m. to start the call, so hence a little bit earlier start. But I also think that maybe Ludwig has a Red Bull somewhere nearby, maybe, so he could be okay.
Yeah, I got it.
There you go. Perfect for the sponsors. In all seriousness, it was a great day here. In the morning, we had an inter squad cross-country cross competition between GMBS and Stratton. We were going to try and invite a couple other folks, but it's not just a tricky time, but a tricky time within a tricky time because of schools and the phases that everybody's going through. Like the NENSA, like the rest of the world's been going overtime working to host in-person events in a responsible manner. And each one comes with its learnings and also with very positive energy. So that's really positive. We'll be announcing another race this coming week that will be just a little bigger and allow for those who can come to have again, an inter-squad competition. We actually brought out the NENSA bibs today. It was really cool. We also hosted a technique clinic this afternoon. The third one we've actually offered this year. They've all been relatively small, but again, very positive, and every one we host helps us put out a positive message that we're going to be able to host more in-person events of different kinds. And we also will be getting the green light from US Ski and Snowboard shortly. And so you'll see some true L100 in-person clinics coming throughout the fall. That'll be, NENSA events and also sanctioned by US Ski and Snowboard. Now we're here, the last part of the stunning day, with quite an impressive gathering spanning the country. I believe we have Gus out in California and of course, Ludwig over in Norway. So pretty cool. And New York's represented. I think every state in New England in the East is represented on this call quite well. So that's really a great sign of a healthy community. So thank you all. As mentioned in the invitation, please keep yourself on mute unless you're a panelist or a panelist asks you to speak or something like that. Ask questions directly in the chat. You can Google that on your spare time if you can't figure out where the chat is, but it's right down there in the center in the bottom. Kate Miller is our new Youth and Introductory Programs Director, and she's going to be the admin for the majority of this call. So that the two of us will be working together on that. She'll also be introducing a couple of the panelists, so you'll get to hear her voice and see her face. It's of note too that Kate's come to us just a short time ago, and she's made an immediate impact on our programming. We're really lucky to have her. We'll try and stay on the timeline that I've sent you, which you all have in front of you because that's where you got the link. We'll try and stay there, but I especially want to focus on the first three topics. If we run over and cut agility short, we can create direct follow-up after tonight's call for anybody who's interested. Then with no further ado, I'd like to introduce Ludwig Sogen Jensen. And we spelled his name wrong, and I just said it pretty terribly on the bib, which I don't know if we've ever talked about that, but we actually two letters on your bib, which I feel so bad about. We have to have another competition coming sometime. Yeah. He's certainly the fastest member of our call, and for quite some time was the fastest skier in the world, and maybe he can be again. In fact, he won every super sprint from 2013 to 2020, so it's pretty interesting to bring him into the call. This isn't in my notes, but one thing that I always look at, and they have done direct training together, but some of the similarities of Klæbo's impressive acceleration is for sure mirrored from the Luddeyo step and a part of that progression. So it's even though super sprint is a little outside of our context currently, I think it has relevance to what we do as more traditional cross-country skiers. He visited us some years ago now in Lake Placid, and I was struck not only by his speed, but that he was his deep knowledge of the sport and his connections within Norway, of course. But you know, some of the people we're watching on TV were his peers, but were also his peers growing up. He holds a bachelor's degree in sports biology from the Norwegian School of Sports Science. I want to thank you all, especially Ludwig, for joining us tonight. Also of note, I'm not sure I've seen him on here yet, but Brian Fish will likely be here throughout, and kind of consider him a full-time panelist if somebody has a direct question for him. If anybody doesn't know who Brian is, he's the former development coach and also the current cross-country sport development manager, and he will have some US ski and snowboard updates tomorrow afternoon if folks are interested in that. And if anybody in the call didn't sign up for something tomorrow, just send me an email and we'll send you the link directly. Luddy, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Justin. You can hear me, right?
Perfect.
Yeah. I think I will try to share my screen here. Is that easy? So can you see my screen? This is my first time on Zoom, so this is, I think you're good, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So first of all, thank you for letting me join your conference. That's pretty cool. And I hope you're all doing well in the States as well, and stay healthy. I will talk a little bit about sprinting today, a little bit about what I do as a super sprinter, and also what I do with other skiers, like more distance skiers and normal sprinters as well, and a little bit about what I did as a junior, and also what I think is a clever way to approach speed as a junior. And feel free to ask questions, and we will probably have a little discussion or something in the end there. Just a little bit about me in the start. I'm from Oslo, Norway, 31 years old, pretty good at super sprints and pretty fast fast skier. And yeah, you mentioned some things in the beginning there, so thank you. I grew up in a small town just outside Oslo, close to Holmenkollen. I basically had the ski tracks in my backyard, so I grew up playing around on skis with my friends, such as Sindre Bjørnestad, for instance. Which was my closest neighbor growing up. Did all kinds of sports, soccer, cycling, kayaking, skiing, alpine skiing, ice hockey, everything. This is me. I think I can show you this video from me. I was 11 years old. And what you see there is I was pretty fast in the starts and ended up last in that competition, or in that race. So I've always been pretty fast, and had fun skiing as a kid, and the techniques is changing. You can see now the 11 years old are so much better and faster than I was when I grew up, and it's a change in the sport now because of the mass starts and the sprints and even the super sprints. So when I grew up, it was Bjørn Dæhlie who was the fastest, and then maybe Thomas Alsgaard. So it's a different time. At the junior age, I was around top 30 in normal, so in Norway. So I was quite normal. I wasn't really good, but I wasn't bad either. I did all the distances, longer and shorter sprints, all the way up to 50K. And the game changer for me was in 2013 when the super sprint hit Oslo at Bislett Stadium, where I got the opportunity to beat Petter Northug and all the big stars in my hometown, and then I got a contract with Team Jobzone, which was a private sprint team at that time in Norway, and I got the opportunity to travel around and compete and go to places and yeah, just train and race and do what I love. And I've basically been doing that since 2013. I also did some studying, but super sprint's been my way of skiing the last couple of years. And for you, I don't know if you know super sprint at all, but it's basically short distances, mainly 100 meters, sometimes 200. And it's in Scandinavia and in Europe, it's growing more and more, and it's on TV now, and you can watch it on the national channel in Norway. So that's pretty cool. And I really think it belongs to the future because the kids love it. So maybe in a couple of years we can do a race in the States as well. What I do in the way of training for super sprints, I train much more like a track and field sprinter. I specialize in the 100-meter event, so it's I don't need the VO2 max and the aerobic capacity. I just train to become really fast, and you get good at what you train on, I guess. So this is a clip from one of the races this season in Sweden, just to show you how the super sprint looks like. So it's a fast start and then the acceleration phase, and then you hit the top speed in the end there. So to compare it to normal sprint distances, you will have the top speed in the end. Even if it's a 1500 meter, you will always try to sprint past someone or anything. And also you got the acceleration, maybe in an uphill to break away or something. But it's a totally different thing. So training for super sprints, I will say it's a big difference between super sprints and normal cross-country sprints in the training. You need more power, more explosive training, more weightlifting, more plyometrics. And I also use longer rest time in between our reps and sets because of the neural drive, and you need to be rested. It's less endurance, no focus on the VO2 max and aerobic capacity. You know, the normal sprinters need to do like 4 times 1500 meters. So it's like a mid distance, but you do it 4 times. I would say it's everyone who has run the 4 times 4 minute intervals that's really popular knows that it's not much sprinting in those. So for a normal sprinter, you have to maybe sprint in the end and in the start, and sometimes out of a curve or something, but it's not similar to what I do actually. And you do much more sprints in stress state when doing normal sprints, as I am really rested actually. So that's the difference. There are similarities, but I will come back to those. What I do in training, to tell you a little bit, I do a lot of sprint starts and acceleration stuff on 95 to 100% of the intensity or effort. I do have long rest in between, 4 to 5, 6 minutes rest in between of each repetition on those sessions, and 5 to 10 minutes in between of sets. So that's a big difference between normal sprinters. I do normally 12 to 16 reps on a short sprint session, and it may be around 2 hours long in total. Normally I do V1 starts for about 40, 50, 60 meters. Sometimes with weighted sledge or pulling someone from elastic rubber bands. I will show you in a video later. And then I do something I call speed endurance, which is basically top speed, working technically 80 to 90% of maximum, a little shorter rest in between. Normally 100, 150, maybe 200 meters. Sometimes a little longer, but then it's more endurance. For the gym sessions, I do lifting, full body workouts, plyometrics, ski-like exercises, jumping, and core and stability. The core exercises I do is really much the same as normal cross-country skiers do. Rest sessions, running, skiing, playing tennis, basketball, everything. Then I got also technical skiing and endurance, like 30 or 45 seconds on, 15 seconds rest. That's about the endurance I will need throughout a competition, and it get me in like technically skiing in a not slow way. And then everything comes down to the nervous system, actually, because the muscles are maybe feeling good, but the nervous system needs its rest as well. So you need to take those minutes in between to be able to sprint hard enough, actually. So that's a big that's a really important thing for me as a super sprinter. To look a little bit about what I do, I will show you a couple clips here. So we're using photo cells to time everything. In that way, we can change technique. We are using films. I would work on something. Maybe I need to change something in my frequency or some movements, and then we can figure out what's faster. And we do this weekly. I also do starts, flying starts like this a lot, because it's a little easier than doing starts from a dead position. And this is also something I do with Klæbo and earlier with Bransdal, as they are training to break away in a hill. So then we could do this exercise in a uphill. And that's a really good one. I would suggest doing that if you really want to become better on the acceleration phase. So this week I just wrote down what I'm doing this week, and my program, it's all about sprints. So Monday sprints, and then gym. Tuesday speed endurance, and then a rest session. Wednesday rest session. because it's so hard on Mondays and Tuesdays. Same stuff on Thursday and Friday as Monday and Tuesday, and then Saturday is a running session and a gym, and then rest day on Sunday. So this could look like something Christian Coleman or Usain Bolt are doing. So it's completely different from Martin Jonsrud Sundby's program, for instance. And I will come back to that because we are using the same coach actually in some of the stuff we're doing. In the gym, I am doing always plyometrics first because of the nervous system. You need to be rested in order to have that short contact time, ground contact time. And I'm also using something called the reactive strength index to see if I'm strong enough or has the plyometrics or the plyometric abilities enough to be fast. So that's something we're working on all the time. It could be hurdle jumps, different kinds of ski-like movements, jumps, squat jumps, weighted and without weights. On the picture, I do the sergeant jump, which I also use to know if my nervous system is okay. If I feel a little heavy or tired, I can do a vertical, and then if you have the statistics on it, you know if you're a little off or not. So that's something we use a lot. Heavy lifting, second part of the session, and we're doing like squats, deadlifts, classic movements, dips, pull-ups, a lot of different stuff. And during season, I don't lift too heavy, and I do quarter squats, for instance. Off season, I do much more 90 degrees or ass to the grass to become stronger. Core at the end, normally something weighted and something just stability and more endurance kind of strength. And that part is important too because of the techniques, to be able to have the right techniques during skiing. So that part is more classic cross-country skiing, core and stability workouts. Yeah, these are some ski-specific movements where I am also trying to have the joint angles similar to when I am skiing. This is a skating jump kind of thing. I do a lot. Fast contact time. And this one is the Kaiser. This is power training, and you get your peak power, and you can lift heavy or light. And I have my program on that machine, so I can always do what the coach means I should do. So that was a little bit about what I do as a super sprinter. And then we got a good base in Oslo with skiers. So I trained with a lot of good skiers in Oslo. And we learn from each other, we talk to each other. Nowadays, I'm with the same coach as Sundby because his little brother is his coach. He's outside the national team right now. So we're working a little bit together. And he has his 3 and 4 hours and interval sessions while I'm in the gym and doing squats. But sometimes we do some sessions together, and that's mainly top speed, technical stuff, and also top speed, just to push each other. So he might be coming from behind in downwards or something, and I try to catch him or something. Also doing accelerations in uphills. We do sledge skating. I will show you in the next slide how it looks like. But we're doing a lot of stuff together actually. And earlier I've been training a lot with Sindre Bjørnstadskar, Klæbo, Brownsdal, a lot of good skiers actually. Either live in Oslo or stay there for some time. There's technical similarities to what we do. It's basically skiing. So the only thing is that I accelerate from a dead position in a flat, and the other guys are using the V1 in the uphill. But that's technical stuff is really important, and in the top speed, it's really, you will need it to win mass start races nowadays. Probably, maybe Sundby and Holund can maybe break away, but you will certainly need some top speed to win races in 2020. Acceleration in uphill. If you watch Klæbo on TV, he wins a lot of races during those accelerations, in and out of curves and stuff. Really important. I would say that the normal sprinters and distance skiers are doing much more stress state speeds and longer sprints during training than I do. For instance, Sundby are doing 40 seconds while I am doing 10s. So it's a different kind of training, physiology wise, but still we can do stuff together and learn from each other. So I can do mine in 10 seconds and he can do his in 40, and we can still look at the tape and see what's good and bad, and there's always something to learn from. Even if Martin Jonsrud Sundby is slower than me in 100, he's the best guy in the 50k, and the ground position in the V1 and V2 are the same. So there's a lot to learn from those guys, for sure. And also I've been watching Andy Newell for many years. He was one of the guys I went to YouTube to look at when I was a little younger, and the way he did the curves, especially to maneuver in between of guys, and also his speed was really incredible. So that's a really cool thing to stay in Oslo, because you have Johaug there and Martin Jonsrud Sundby there, and there's so many good skiers. So it's a great place to be. On the upper picture, me and Bransdal are doing some technical video stuff, I guess. You all know the guy in the middle in the right corner there. That's Klæbo. We've doing some sprints together, and he's really fast. So much to learn from him. The balance. If I can give the juniors and the kids an advice, it must be train, balance, technique, have some fun, just play around. Because if you look at the stuff Klæbo is doing in the field, you can't. No coach can tell you to do it. You need to ski to be able to do it. And he can win a World Cup sprint in a downhill. That's pretty impressive. In the left corner, this is the rubber band sprints I was telling you about. That Sundby is doing 40 seconds. I am doing 10s. And the reason why we're doing it is it is a little bit heavier, of course. It's a little bit strength training in it, but also you get a little bit longer contact time, so you can produce a little bit more power, and that's a really important thing for me, because I have the high frequency, but I lack a little bit of that massive power that the bigger guys have. So I need to train with a little bit slower ground contact time, and it's really, it's not easy to do that if you're not having anything pulling you, actually, because if the speed is higher, and it will be, then your contact time is going down. To move on to the next topic, training for juniors. We skied a lot, and we had some fun, and I have been in a NENSA camp with Justin once, and I saw that you guys are doing a lot of the same stuff, but you had some ramps and stuff that I've never seen before, and that was so cool. Basically, I grew up in a ski track, so we just went out after school and had some relays, and we did some short laps and super sprints, one-on-one, and just had some fun. I think things are much more professionalized now than it was for 15 years ago, and 20 years ago. Now I think there's more professional coaches, really good people, but you lose a little bit that plainness, or just having fun. And I think that's really, really important for the juniors and also the youngers to learn to ski in a way, so you're not just making machines. There's more mass starts now, more sprints, even super sprints are coming up. So the juniors are in need for more speed than they used to be, and I think they are also much faster now than for 10 years ago. So for sure, you need to train at it, but they will also develop it by themselves, I guess. And then I got a question: how might junior skiers adapt speed-specific training? And as I said earlier, I think you need to do fun things in training, because otherwise they will quit in a way. Short relay, super sprints, high intensity training with some rest in between. Do some technical drills. As I said earlier, curves, really important. You can also do like cone drills, different types of stuff. So I really believe in those ramps you build, Justin. If you then put something with sprinting before or after some of those ramps, you will get the technical stuff, and then you can sprint. That'd be really good for training normal sprints and also ground technique for the younger skiers. I believe in rest in between our short sprints, if the main goal is to become faster. I do know that you need to also train sprints then, or more stressed sprints, because of that is what you will meet in the competition. But in order to be as fast as Klæbo, you need to train also with rested neural system. So do both. A lot of coaches are doing long distance intensity one trainings, and then you do 6 sprints. But I really believe in also just have some sessions that's mainly sprint sessions. I really believe that if you want to beat Klæbo, you need to have that kind of training in as well. And for the lifting part, you don't need to lift very heavy at a young age, I believe, but you should do some jumps and drills and stuff that that will build some muscles and also give you some more plyometrics. I think that was all for what I have prepared, but if you guys have questions and or anything, we can discuss it. Justin?
Yes, thank you so much. And our first question, Brian Fish is here, and he's going to ask your first question.
Yep.
Ludwig, thanks for that presentation. Just to be aware, one of our national development strategies, in particular with our juniors, is to improve our speed, especially at the starts and finish, as well as transitions in races to break away in mass start events. And I'm gonna tie my question into actually 3 of your slides. I took some notes, so it's kind of integrating. In slide 12, you had some fast contact, the lateral box jumps, and then in slide 14, you talked about, in particular with Klæbo, if there's one thing you provided insight for development would be balance. And another topic you talked a lot about was kind of neuromuscular and that neuromuscular coordination. And so my question actually kind of brings all 3 of those together. Do you do any type of activities like dry land technique activities that are off skis to like kind of set your brain and set the neural patterning? Because I feel, I'm just speaking on behalf of some of the things we're doing. What we're trying to do is build that balance with movement. And before you can have really good movement on skis, you need to have really good movement patterns and good balance on foot. So I was just curious in your warm-ups if you do any mental cueing that way. And that's part 1 of the question. And then part 2, any specific movement patterns that you suggest, such as these box jumps that are really good for helping develop speed develop and neural patterning?
Yeah. To answer the first question, I do a lot. During warm-ups, I always do some drills and some movements that is without skis and without anything, to be ready for the session and to also get that neural muscle or thing. So we're actually working on that. I will send Justin some videos from some of my drills because I have a lot, and I also use it as a warm-up, but I also use it throughout the sessions, and also sometimes before I am going to ski, I can stand in the mirror and do some exercises. Also use agility ladder where I implement some ski-like movements.
Okay, so agility ladders. Any other activities that you stress to develop that balance needed for speed development?
Mostly doing drills, like running drills without skis that is similar to skiing, sideways and such. Also use what you call it, air float, like a pillow, balance type of pillow that we're standing on.
Is it like a half one? Does it like a half?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ball is what we call those.
Yeah, Bozu. Yeah, right. So I do some one-legged ski-like med ball throws from the Bozu to work on the balance and also the core standing in a ski position. But mostly what I find or what I do mostly is the drills that I have specifically been using to get that drive.
Thanks.
We have a question here in the chat from Gus, which is, you mentioned that you use statistics in jumping to tell if you are ready for neurological fast work. If you show up and for some reason you're not ready, what do you do? For example, do you switch the plan and go for an endurance training?
Yeah, good question. Usually I have like I have a team that I look at, and if I feel really off, then I take a easier session, maybe some endurance or something. But the really hard part about my kind of training is the full out sprint sessions. They are really wearing me down. So if I'm not fully recovered to one of those, I will for sure do something else and maybe a little bit more endurance or easier type of training. Yeah, it's a little bit different because you are really not able to be at your best if you're tired during sprinting. So that's why.
I think it's also, I think we should use the chat for during presentations, and I'll read off another comment we have here from Pat Casey. But after I read off this comment, I think folks in the discussion part can just chime right in. It'd be fun to hear from some of you directly. So I'll read off this last one in the chat, and then people can jump in for a few minutes. So from Pat Casey, how far off do you need to be on the vertical jump in order to take an easier session?
We're talking some centimeters. I don't do inches, but 4 or 5 centimeters or so. Then we start to discuss. But I always discuss those type of things with my trainer because there's always an explanation for why you're a little off. If you know that you have been training hard the day before or the same day, then okay, let's do it. But if you have like 2 or 3 or 4 days in a row where you're feeling off, and then you see on the sergeant jump that you are 5 centimeters lower than normal, then you maybe should consider to slow a little down. It's just to be able to see if you're ready for a hard session or not.
We have a question from Christopher City. Do you vary the wheel speed you use when you're doing sprint work on roller skis?
Yes, I do. I do use Svinor 2s and 1s, and also race wheels, like really fast wheels, depending on what I'm working on, and also time of year. The really fast ones are really good if you're working on the nervous system. It's really light, but you can get a really high frequency, and you need to be able to push really fast, also produce force really fast. And the slower ones are more are harder. It's you need more strength. You get slower contact time, and also be able to ski in a little different way that maybe is a little more similar to the technique you use during the winter. I also use longer skis and shorter skis on roller skis, depending on different stuff. I do some World Cup races in roller skis where they use the short ones, so that's why.
I have a broader Norwegian question. We've seen a few of the roller ski races happening. What's the environment like there now, both in venues and in competition?
To be honest, I'm not sure right now because it changes from week to week. But the environment is that they believe it will be hosted races during the winter, but they don't know if you can have any crowd or people there. But they're good at thinking outside the box when it comes to organizing stuff, because cross-country skiing in Norway is so important. It's like the NBA in the States. So they will figure out something. And also, I really believe that we can host things in Norway. You got some areas that's really good now, and then you got Oslo, which is not so good at the moment. So we just need to cross our fingers, I guess.
We're doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Molly Peters, who is the coach of St. Michael's College, has a question here. You talked about active strength index to test your progress. What are the other tests you do besides the jump?
I do in the gym. I do a lot of strength tests, like maximum 1 RM, 1 rep maximum tests in different exercises. And then I do on roller skis. We do some tests outside with the photo cells. It's not easy to get it right every time because the weather, the wind, everything is deciding the result. But we try to do it often, so you can see something there. We also have this roller ski treadmill in Holmenkollen indoors, where you can do stuff. I used it a little, but to check the top speed and stuff, but it's not easy for me to ski in that way on the treadmill. I think it's better to do distance skiing in there. I do some power on the Kaiser in the gym, where you can see, you get the power output, so you got the peak power and stuff, so you can have a load, and then you can see the power on that load. I'm using that to test as well.
I don't like saying COVID or fluoro, but just another question. Will fluoros affect super sprint if competitions happen?
Yeah, I think they will have the same. I believe they will do the same as the rest of the organizers, like the FIS and also the biathlon organizers are now saying no to fluoro, I think. So I guess so. And what I've seen in the whole ski community in Norway is that they are now trying to not use it, and the stores don't sell it anymore. But it's the issue about testing that's mainly been the topic in the newspapers the last weeks. If they don't have a really good testing regime, then how can you not use it, or how can you play clean and fair?
Does anyone else have any further questions? We're almost perfectly on schedule here. One more. We can take more, but one more just popped up. Ludwig, this is from Matt Belize, who I believe is in Western New York or Central New York. You can answer me, Matt, if you want, but a New Yorker, which is awesome. Can you share some of the technique cues you've used to develop your V1 technique compared to older V1 with more alternating leg pushes?
Yeah, this is something I came up with as a youngster, actually. We were just skiing in the backyard and somehow came up with that technique. But the thing is, I push more or less with both skis at the same time, like this. And then my poles are hitting the ground before the skis. So in a normal V1, you have the pole and the ski on the hang side in the ground at the same time. But I am not synced. So I have poles and skis either way in the ground all the time, almost. And then I'm much more in between of my legs, or my legs are just working under me. So I don't have the time to follow up on each side with my upper body, so I just stay, and then my feet are going in under me instead. Get the opportunity to get really high frequency and at the same time a long stride. So it works for me, and I'm trying to develop it a little further as we speak. So I'm always looking for some improvement or something new technique wise. I really love to work with it, and we're doing a lot of filming. Film almost every session and compare, and I use Coach's Eye or those apps. Film in slow motion, and you can see the movements, and then I put Shanava or Clavo in it, and I can look at what they are doing, and yeah, that's how I work. And I think also it's really cool to look at the younger ones, because they develop something new, and then I can look at some youngsters and pick up, okay, he's doing that with his arm, or okay, he's elbows are up there, and that might be better because his stride length are better. I don't know, but you can always pick up something.
Maybe I'll try and ask a last question, and then instead of having a 5-minute break, maybe we'll have like a 2-minute stretch break before Kate comes on and introduces our next topic. Is there formal training happening with junior skiers with, I don't know if they call it the Luddeyo step, or with this offset sprinting happening, or is it more that the kids are emulating it themselves?
Both, actually. Last fall I was in the national junior camp in Norway to show them some tricks, and I think there's more and more coaches out there teaching the younger skiers some of those techniques out there, and I've been able myself to go around and join training camps and stuff, and I see coaches teaching that stuff right now. So mostly they do it in the uphills.
That's awesome, Ludwig. Well, I really thank you for sharing this with our community here, and I'm sure we'll have more questions, and you can share, if continue to share ideas we can share with our community. It's really pretty neat. So soon enough,
Sure,
we'll
no problem.
have you back, or I'm welcome to come to Norway as soon as I'm available or allowed.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And just send me a message, and I will send you some videos and stuff. That's no problem to do. I just think it's cool. So maybe I can see something from you as well.
Yeah, we'll have a nice edit from the cross country cross, which we're building in, as you described at one point, trying to get the flow. And we had a nice 200, 300 meter. It was actually a gradual down finish straight away after the end. So they had a full top speed. And it was neat because a lot of the agility we do it's so either tight or just continuous that they're always doing the pushing and the cornering, and they're really taxing the lungs a lot. It was short. The fastest boy was 1:24. They did 2 runs, and the fastest girl, I believe, was 1:38. So I heard some breathing, but it was really fast.
Yeah, that's cool.
A lot of times it's more, you feel them, they get into their lungs in 2.5 minutes. Unbelievable. So it was a cool one. And we're trying to, I call it flow, but obviously it's sprint for you. So
yeah.
good.
Yeah.